Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decode, a place where we sift through corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we're diving into Scilex Holding Company's proxy statement, and trust me, it's more interesting than it sounds. We are going to look at upcoming votes about company directors who audits their books and what this company is planning. Think of it as peeking behind the curtain to see who's really running the show and how they're getting paid. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. Please feel free to check it out if you'd like to chat about this report. First up, the annual meeting is happening in June. Stockholders get to vote on a few key things. The main issues are electing directors and picking an accounting firm. This tells us who will be steering the ship and who is checking their work. The company's business is run by the board of directors, which currently consists of 6 members. Think of the board as the group of people in charge of setting the company's direction. They are in charge of oversight, guidance, and make sure management is doing a good job. We need to see who these people are. Let's talk about the nominees up for election. There's Henry G, who's been the executive chairperson for some time, and Jaisim Shah, who is the chief executive officer and president. Basically, you're voting to keep these guys in their positions on the board. We need to pay attention to their backgrounds and what they bring to the table. Henry G has lots of experience in biotech, serving as CEO of Sorrento and other companies. Jaisim Shah has over 25 years of experience with a lot of time spent in senior management, business, commercial, and investor relations. Seems like an experienced group, but let's see if their pay is in line with the business. Mon video to the table, Henry G has lots of experience in biotech, serving as CEO of Sorrento and other companies. Jaisim Shah has over 25 years of experience with a lot of time spent in senior management, business, commercial, and investor relations. Seems like an experienced group, but let's see if their pay is in line with the business. Okay, let's move on to the continuing directors to see who else is on the board. We have Dorman Followell with a background in healthcare consulting, Jay Chun, a neurosurgeon, Yue Alexander Wu, who is a CEO of a bioscience company, and Anu Navani, a doctor in pain medicine. It's a diverse board with backgrounds in both business and medicine. It is interesting that the company has checked the box "no fee required." This usually signals that they are not making any major change to this filing compared to prior reports. It's important to note that the company claims that all directors are independent under NASDAQ rules, except for Henry G and Jaisim Shah. Independence is key because it means they are not controlled by company management. This helps to make sure the board acts in the best interest of the stockholders. The proxy statement details the different committees that the board has. The audit committee is important. This is responsible for overseeing financial reporting, internal controls, and picking the company's auditor. They have to ensure that the audit firm is independent and qualified. This committee is essential in making sure the numbers are correct and the company is following the rules. Another important committee is the compensation committee, which decides how much the executives and directors get paid. It's worth keeping an eye on this because executive pay can be a sensitive topic. We also see a nominating and corporate governance committee, which is responsible for finding and evaluating potential directors and overseeing corporate governance issues. This committee is in charge of picking new members to join the board. Scilex also has a commercialization and transaction committee, responsible for providing strategic and operational oversight of the company's commercial activities. They also evaluate potential strategic transactions like acquisitions or partnerships. Scilex has a code of business conduct and ethics that applies to everyone, including the CEO and CFO. This code is supposed to ensure that everyone acts with integrity and avoids conflicts of interest. Now, let's get to the money. The non-employee directors get paid both in cash and stock options. Board members get an annual cash compensation, and committee chairs get paid extra. All of these are not paid to employees, since they are already being compensated. We also need to check if the board has too many insiders that make money, since that might also create conflicts. Here is a quick summary of the director compensation. Dorman Followell gets more money than others, while Anu Navani got the lowest. Okay, on to the next voting issue, the appointment of BPML as the independent accounting firm. Stockholders get to ratify or approve this decision. Even if the vote passes, the audit committee can still change its mind later if it thinks it's best for the company. Interestingly, Scilex changed auditors recently, replacing Ernst & Young with BKM LLP. A change in auditors raises some questions. We need to see what happened. The company said there were no disagreements with Ernst & Young on accounting matters. However, Ernst & Young sent a letter with some disagreements that, if not investigated properly, could be considered unfair. Let's look at the fee they paid to the accounting firm. In 2024, the audit fees were roughly $4.7 million. This is almost twice what they paid in 2023 at $2.4 million. It is worth digging in to see why there were such high audit fees this year. It might signal something wrong with the company. Alright, time to discuss executive compensation. It's crucial to see how much the top people are making and if that aligns with how the company is doing. Here's a quick look at the compensation for the named executive officers. Jaisim Shah and Henry G both made the most with $1.2 million, and Stephen Ma made $600,000. It is interesting to note that their total compensation was significantly higher in 2023 than 2024. This shows that the management may be getting paid a fixed salary and not depending on performance. Warren Buffett would not like this. Scilex has severance and change in control agreements with its top executives. These agreements outline what happens if the executives are terminated or if there's a change in control of the company. They get a pretty big payout. These agreements are in place to protect the executives and provide incentives to stay with the company. The proxy statement also gives information about equity compensation plans. This tells us how many shares are available for future grants to employees and executives. Now, who owns the company? This section lists the major stockholders, including directors, officers, and anyone owning more than 5% of the stock. We see that Scilex Stock Acquisition JV LLC owns the biggest percent, at almost 30%. Jaisim Shah, Henry G, Aramd all own a significant percent. This is important because these major owners have a lot of influence on company decisions. This section describes any deals between the company and its insiders, like directors or major stockholders. It is important to look at this to see if there are any conflicts of interest. There was a stockholder agreement with Sorrento, the company's former controlling stockholder, which was terminated in September 2023. The agreements outline how much power Sorrento has over things like board nominations and company decisions. Scilex provided debtor-in-possession financing to Sorrento during its bankruptcy. Basically, Scilex lent money to Sorrento to help it operate during bankruptcy. It might be worth reading the filing in depth if you are particularly interested in this deal, but we will glaze over it. Finally, the company sold the rights to receive revenue of some products to some buyers. This part is also worth reading in depth if you care about the particulars of each product, but it's very technical. Now, my take on Scilex. The company seems to be making a lot of moves, refinancing debt and changing agreements with its partners. This could be a sign of a company trying to position itself for growth or a company trying to find a more solid financial footing. The high audit fees raise some questions, and it would be good to dig into those. The large ownership by insiders could lead to questions about who the company benefits. What do you think about Scilex Holding Company? Are you excited about the future or concerned? What actions do you think they should be taking? What do you think they will be worth in 5 years? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Also check out the Discord server. Thanks for watching. See you next time.